Don't enter into life's arena unarmed. Let Parker show you how to make fear work for you. Even enjoy fear. What money says when it talks. The heartbeat of time. The vital importance of momentum. How to be the person you always wanted to be. And keeping your dreams alive. For 2 decades, Parker has traveled hundreds of thousands of miles as he built his career in a manner that brings forth a wealth of information. Town to town, prospect to prospect, audience to audience. There is no man like this anywhere.
On the road for 5 months. I've not seen my wife and son for 5 months, and I go home Saturday morning. In the last 2 years, I have driven over 100,000 miles around the United States of America myself, not counting the miles that I have flown. I've met a lot of people, and I've heard a lot of people talk gloom and doom. I've met a lot of people that are making it happen. And we're making it happen in our company. We're making it happen because we made the decision to make it happen. Let's kind of look at things like this. If I can identify what a problem is, then I can start working on the solution. Does that make sense to you folks? And if there's change, and we all know, as we're in here tonight, we know that America is changing rapidly. Is that not true? Now, I know that if something's going to change, and I see changes, then I have to, if it's changed, and we've just agreed that it's changed, the next question that we have to ask ourselves is, what are we going to do about it? Now, every one of us in this room tonight has somebody that's dependent upon us. There's a lot of people that are in this boat with us. Me, I have a family, and a wife, and a son, and mother, and stepfather, and they're counting on me, and I want to deliver. And I hope that tonight that I can share some things with you that might make a difference for you in your life. And we'll tell you what will not work. What will not work in here is this. The hardest thing for me to do is to open up a closed mind. If you came in here tonight with a closed mind, I cannot inform you of anything. But if your mind's open just a little bit, maybe I can offer you something that in some way might be able to help you be in a much more positive, productive vein. See, none of you had any idea, by the way, that you were going to come in here at 6 something at night and listen to a redneck that looked like Jimmy Swaggart, did you? You had no idea that was going to happen. You know, when I started in the automobile business, and it's been over 34 years ago, 35 years ago, and I know in lieu of time you're all shocked to know that because you all know I look much younger than that, don't I? Don't I? Lie to me. That's the only lie around here. My 50th birthday is coming up this coming Christmas Day. I started in the service department. I was the lube man. Change the oil, change the filters, and lube the cars, and that's what I did. Change the tires, and we had tire irons. We didn't have that machine. We were doing it with the irons when I started in the business. The gentleman in the back of the room that travels with me was a service manager for 17 years. So we got somewhat of an idea of what all of these departments are about. We don't have all of the answers. But I do know this. There was a couple of statements that I heard. I kind of like to listen sometimes to what the conversations going on in the room before I talk. And somebody came in and said to me, I thought it was an interesting comment, said, well, at least I got a piece of pizza because I'm going to get something out of this thing. Well, this is my own time. Well, absolutely. Time is our scarcest resource. It's our best friend, or it can be our worst enemy. I was watching a John Wayne movie the other night where John Wayne says it's called The Cowboys. Maybe some of you have seen it before. And he said, come on, boys, we got to get going. He said, we're burning up daylight. Now, I also know that maybe some of you might be sitting there right now and you're going, oh, this guy's going to talk so fast. And what do we got, another one of those motivators? I can't motivate you. You got to motivate you. I cannot motivate you. No way. And then you could be sitting there and you could do this. You could say, this guy cannot be genuine acting like this and talking this fast and acting this way. But that's your problem. That's not my problem. I pay my bills better acting this way. Do I always feel good? No. Do I always feel like doing this? No. But I go around and business to me, and every one of us in here has a career, and when my career is going well, my personal life goes so much better. It's kind of like my son, he calls me. I have a 17-year-old son. When my son was born, I wanted my son to become the president of the United States of America. And now all I want to do is get that boy to high school. I mean, if I get that job done, this is a miracle. Just one more year. Just get him through. He calls me on the road, and I pick up the phone, and I'll say hello. He say, hey, Dad, how you doing? And he's taking a reading on me is what he's doing. And if he feels like that I'm doing all right, the next question is, he wants what? Money. Money. The international language. You see, everybody in this room at this moment is a part of this organization right now. And everybody in here sells. If you pick up the telephone, you're a part of this company, and you represent this company. You do a good job, by the way. Will somebody unplug that phone? You pick up, you do a good job. Whatever you do, you represent this company, and this is what you do when you do that. I call it self-protection, protecting the company. You know, like this morning, I got up at 4:15 this morning. I had a meeting this morning out in Orange County, and on the way out, I heard about 25,000 people being laid off at IBM. 25,000 people being laid off at IBM. And I did say this to myself. I did say, watch me, please. I know we're going to have a few interruptions, but stick with me. Come on in, join us. Have a seat. Thanks for coming. No problem. No problem. We're glad you're here. 25,000 people laid off. And I said to myself, hey, I got a job. And I'm happy about that. And I will tell you why 25,000 people are getting laid off at IBM. I'll tell you why they laid off 40,000 people last year, because they thought they were the big blue and they were the big IBM, just like Sears and Roebuck, and they were a rock of Gibraltar and nobody could ever do anything to them. Just like Sears and Roebuck thought that forever they were going to be the big giant. They didn't know that guy from up there in Arkansas that drove a pickup truck in a 1971 Impala came along and ate their lunch. Did he not, folks? Yeah, he sure did. And they just took it for granted. Boy, this is the big Sears, and IBM's going, this is the big blue. But the guys that run the big blue, IBM, they just got beaten, and they're getting ready to get beaten again by a couple of guys that 12 years ago started a business out of their garage. And Sam Walton started in some little town in Arkansas, and he came along, and he is beating him up bad. You see, always in life, somebody's loss is always somebody else's gain. And if anybody in this company does not protect the customers that you get in here, it's going to end up being somebody else's gain because somebody else is going to end up with it. You know, another thing I'd like to share with you, and we're not going to be in here a lengthy time tonight, but before you leave, by the way, you're going to get a gift from the company, and I hope you'll enjoy it, and we'll give it to you before you go. But I met a man out in Covina about a month ago. And when he was a young guy, he had polio, and he walked with crutches. And I met him in a meeting, and we chatted. And then he said, well, I'd like to get together. I got an idea about doing a business, and I'd like to get your opinion. And I said to him, oh, okay. And I really didn't mean it, because he intimidated me somewhat with those crutches. And then I said, okay, we'll get together. And I put it off for a week, and then I caught pneumonia. And I was in the hotel very sick for a couple of weeks. And that guy called me 3 times to see how I was doing. So I kind of forgot about the crutches, and I said, well, here's a guy that's calling me to see if I'm okay. And he knew what I was doing. He knew, because he goes through it all of the time. And he said something to me that I'd like to say to you. He said, you know something, Parker? A lot of people get their exercise jumping to conclusions. And I'll never forget that statement. And all I ask you to do in here tonight is not to jump to a conclusion to think that you know who I am or what I'm going to say, because you don't. And I'd like to ask you a question, and you can respond. Those of you in the front row, by the way, relax. I'll handle all this. I know you've seen the chain and everything, but I'll handle it. A couple people tried to steal my chain. You know, one guy wanted it for the weekend, but it's already tied up. If I can share with every one of you in here some of the successes that I have had in my own life that have brought success for me and my family, and in some way might be able to do that for you and the people that are counting on you, would that be all right with everybody in here? Can I hear from you, please? And if I also can share with you some of the failures that I have had that have brought some heartache and pain and anguish upon me and my family, and maybe in some way eliminate that for you and your family, would that also be all right? Because I'm going to tell all of you tonight that I do not believe that the dream is dead in America. I do not believe that there's not opportunities out here no more than I believe that there's not customers out here. I don't believe that. Do I believe that we got to work smarter and we got to make sure that we do all we can to make it work for us? Yes, I absolutely, emphatically believe that. It's like on Easter morning, I was in Washington, D.C., and I saw in the paper a couple of days before that there was a sunrise service going to be held at the Lincoln Memorial. And I said to myself and the guy that travels with me, I said, man, this is a great opportunity to go to the Lincoln Memorial for sunrise service. I'm sure you all would agree with that. And I said, boy, we're here. And so we got up and we got over there. We got there at 4:15 in the morning. And I think it started like at about 5:30. And it was dark and there was some lights on and the musicians were tuning up their instruments and getting ready. And the singers were warming up. And I walked up to the Lincoln Memorial and I stood up there. And I looked up at that big Abraham Lincoln sitting up in that chair. Some of you have seen him before. And I read a lot that was on the walls there. And then I turned around and I looked out on the mall that runs out all through, right in front of the memorial. And I stood there and I thought about a few things. And I want to share this with you. I thought about my father, who served 2 tours in the service. And a lot of us in this room remember when we received the letter from our uncle that said greetings. A lot of us remember when we got that letter that said you don't have any choice whether you're going to go or not. You're going. And I thought about my father, and I remember that when I was a kid, my father came home from the armed services. He had already been in a war, and he came home, and I'll never forget, my mother and my father had finally bought a home, and they were making little payments on it. It was a little government house, and they finally bought a home, and I'll never forget, one day my mother got a letter in the mail, and she opened it up, and she was scared to death as to what it was when she opened it. And she had a good idea, and it was my father was being recalled again to go again. And she went into the backyard, and in those days, some of us remember all the neighbors. The women would hang their clothes out on the clotheslines, didn't have dryers, and all of the ladies were very fearful that their husbands would get those letters and have to go off to war. And as I stood there and I thought about that, I thought about all of the men and women that have given their lives, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them, all around the world, a lot of men and women that have come home with body parts missing, families that this Christmas will not have their parents there because they died and they sacrificed and they gave their lives so that every one of us in here tonight could have the very precious gift of this. And it is called freedom. And it's called the freedom to choose and to make the decisions of what we want to do with our lives. And I will say this to you as well as I say this to me. This is still America, and I do not take it for granted. And I believe we can do anything we want to do in this country when we want to. Now, if we want to listen to the negative newspaper, or if we want to listen to the fear merchants on television telling us how bad everything is, fine. Those people get paid millions of dollars a year to ruin our lives. That's what they do, because negative news sells. I know that I recently saw a lady on television from Vietnam, and she said, when my brother came to the United States of America, he said that the United States of America was the promised land. And I believe that today, because it's just a couple of days before I'm getting ready to go home. And I will tell you that I've had a very good December. But when I started in November, I knew I had to deal with Santa Claus. I knew people would say, we're not going to do anything at Christmas because it's Christmas. And I knew I had that obstacle in front of me, and I made up my mind of how smart and what I could do to make things work out better for me, and how much more I could prospect and more people I could get in front of to make this work for me before I went home. This is still America, ladies and gentlemen. And don't you ever let anyone convince you that you cannot have anything you want out of this country. You know what I think the biggest disease in America is today, though? And it is not heart attacks, and it is not cancer. And a lot of us have experienced that. I lost my father to cancer, and a lot of us have experienced that in our lives. The biggest disease in America today is this. It's denial. It's denial. It's a bunch of people copping out. It's a bunch of whiny crybabies. Have you all seen them going, I don't feel good. I don't want to do it. It's not my fault. I don't like it. Are those people really a threat to anybody that wants to make an effort? It's like, you know what, it's something else. It's become very fashionable in America to quit and to blame and to complain. That's what's really become in style. You know why so many immigrants come to America and do so well? Why do they come here and do so well? They see the opportunities. There are a lot of people that come to this country from other places. They see more food in our trash cans than they saw in the country they left. And they must look at some of the big crybabies that we got in this country that are going around whining, and they must stand back and go, look at these babies. Look at these spoiled people. You know, I'm so scared of this television. I mean, it's a joke to me. Because all you do is cut. It's like this Somalia thing. I mean, that's a pitiful thing to see, and I'm glad we're over there. I'm glad we're there, and I'm glad we're getting food to these people. I mean, they're starving to death. The world's full of food. I'm delighted we're there, aren't y'all? But I don't want to see it 24 hours a day. You know, there was a couple of days ago, did y'all see that there was some lady who was a prostitute, and they caught her, and about 50 of them beat her up in the middle of the street? They was beating her. And the news, they wanted some bad news so bad that they filmed that, and they showed that to us 35 times. You see, when our troops landed on the beaches there was so many media there. Did y'all see that, the cameras flashing? That the people about 50 miles away thought the war had started. They said, man, look at me, then they're fighting. What did they want to see? They want to see bad, man. They want to see somebody shooting each other. They want to see some blood. You know what would be a catastrophe for the media? If they have to come out of Somalia, and God forbid some soldier gets shot or dies over there. If that doesn't happen, they'll come out and go, oh, it was a joke. We didn't need that. We didn't need to go there. We could have just sent the food over there, because bad news sells. And the newspapers are full of it, and the television is full of it, and talk radio is full of it. I mean, it is everywhere. But guess what? I call it the biggest virus going around America, and I don't want to hear any of it. It will not pay my bills. It will not pay my bills. I don't want to hear it. Because I do know this much. If my competition, and every one of us in this room has competition, if my competition is going to moan and groan and complain and whine and quit, and as long as I don't do that, and as long as I take my God-given gifts and apply them, I will eat their lunch. Is that right, folks? It's a fact. Let me hear from you. Am I right? Yeah, you better believe it. You see, you and I told you this story, and by the way, when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to me. I never get up here and say the same thing. This is not a memorized thing. This is coming out of, by the way, I don't come to you tonight out of any book. I'm not a graduate of Harvard Business School of Review. I'm coming to you out of my life. This is my personal experiences. Hey, let me tell you something. I am very proud to be in this business. I'm very proud to tell every one of you technicians who are in here that I spent my years back there. I'm proud of that. And there's a lot of skill and talent. You guys in here that do technical work, you got a lot of awesome amount of talent. People that work in the parts and service, you got talent. But I know this much, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. And yeah, I can guarantee you one thing right now, 1993 can be a stinking, rotten year if that's what you want it to be. That's exactly what it'll be. It'll be rotten. Go into it with that attitude, that's exactly what we'll get. I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do in 93. I'm so excited about 1993, I couldn't express it to you. I'm going to take a couple of weeks off. I mean, I'd like to have a couple of weeks off. But I go around this country and I see so many babies, adult babies, that they're really no threat. I mean, they're just going around and they're complaining, and I will just keep saying that over, because I see them everywhere. I cut on the television, and there they are, boy. I mean, wham, there's one. I'll say, well, hey, that's no competition. That's no competition at all, is it, folks? That's no competition, and they still don't want to believe this. They still don't want to believe that this is America, and we can do anything we want to do. But I hope you hear this, with that freedom that has been given to us, and I don't say this to motivate anybody. I believe these things. With that freedom that's been given us, it's been given this, the freedom to choose what we want to do. You see, each and every one of us in this room at this moment is exactly where we want to be in life, doing exactly what we want to do, because if we didn't like it, we could change it. Anytime we wanted to. Change it anytime we want to. That's one thing I love about this country. I'm going to change it anytime we want to. Just anytime we want to, if we don't like it. You see, Booker T. Washington, if you've never read Booker T. Washington's life, I highly recommend that you do. He said this. He said, success. I do not know what success means to you. You know what that means to you. It might be an addition on the house. It might be a college education for your kids. It might be to grow in your career. It might be a Winnebago. It might be a vacation. It might be your retirement. I don't know what that is. You know what that is. But this is what he said. He said, success leaves footprints. And he was right. But I'm going to add something onto that, and I don't think he'd mind this at all. So that's failure. And all we got to do is look right where our footprints are taking us, and it'll tell us exactly where we're going. If we don't like where they're taking us, we got to get out of them. It's just like my father said this to me. He says, hey, just tell me who your best friend is, and I'll tell you who you are. Boy, was he right. Hey, when I joined Alcoholics Anonymous, they said this to me. They said, you know something? When you make up your mind that you want to quit drinking, you're going to have to leave a lot of your friends behind, your supposed friends, because they will not want to go where you're going. And I said, well, they sure don't know anything about my friends. I mean, hey, they won't mind if I go down to a bar while they're sitting there getting clonged, and I sit there and have a Coca-Cola and a bag of potato chips. Well, they won't mind that at all. They love me. Well, they didn't want me there, because you all know the answer to this one. Misery loves what? Let me hear. Misery loves what? Got to have company. Too miserable not to have company. Got to have it. And see, that's what justifies so many people's excuses, is when they can cut on the television and they can read a newspaper and they can hear how bad it is, and they say, well, I'm not doing so bad. Everybody else is doing just as bad. No, they're not. No, they're not. Because I meet them everywhere that aren't doing bad. I meet plenty that are doing bad because they're listening to the wrong information, and they're doing this. They're taking that freedom of the ability to be able to choose, which represents the decisions that we make, and we're totally responsible for our own lives. Nobody walks in these shoes for Parker Rogers but Parker Rogers. And when I take them off tonight, when I get in my hotel room, where they've been all day long is exactly where I decided to carry them. And the decisions that this head up here has made all day long is exactly the ones that I wanted to make. Nobody made them for me. That's like my son sometimes. You ever have one of your kids say that somebody made me do something? Somebody talked me into it. I say, oh, come on, stop it. It's just like I said to my son. Anytime you're in a car and somebody's drinking, you can do one thing. You can reach over and take the key and turn it off and get out of it. I mean, might be a great big guy, and you might reach over there and say, I'm not going to ride with you because you're drunk and you're driving. You're going to reach over there and cut it off, and maybe he gets up and punches you and get 2 black eyes, but at least you got out of the car. But don't come home and tell me, well, couldn't stop the car. You can stop the car, can't you, folks? Can't you stop the car? You better believe you can. And I said to him, the decision is up to who? Him. Is that right? I said, yes, exactly right. It's up to him. The freedom to choose, the decisions, each and every one of us in this room is exactly where we want to be, doing exactly what we want to do, whether we want to admit it or not. I was in an audience one time, and a man said that, and all of a sudden, I'm kind of an outspoken person. I didn't like that. And when he said that, I started to get up and say, wait a minute, I don't want to be at this meeting. That's the first thing. But I have to be here. But I sat there for a second, and he said, because if you didn't like it, you could change it. And I said, boy, I'm glad I didn't get up. You see, and I talk about excuses. Everyday excuses that Parker Rogers makes to Parker Rogers, which is me, is nothing more than everyday lies that I tell to Parker Rogers. That's all it is. Kind of reminds me of a story about a man that goes over to his neighbor's house, and he asks his neighbor if he can borrow his axe. And his neighbor said, I can't lend you my axe. And he said, why? He said, because I'm getting ready to make some chicken noodle soup. And he said, well, what does lending me your axe got to do with you making chicken noodle soup? And he said, well, really, nothing. But if I don't want to lend you my axe, one excuse is just as good as another. And this country is overwhelmed with them. I mean, we are making some excuses out here in the promised land, in America. You know, every one of us in this room right now, if we want to get productive or we want to make more things happen in our lives and our career, all we got to do is make the decision to do it and it'll happen. Am I right? I mean, this is America out here. I mean, you know, don't put me over Somalia. Don't make me go over there and do it over there. Don't put me over in Russia. Don't put me over in Yugoslavia. Don't put me over in Ukraine, where my stepfather's from. Don't put me in Poland and make me do it. I mean, don't put me over there. Don't put me over in Mexico and make me do it over there because it's tough over there. Don't send me to Canada over there and make me do it because it's tough over there. Why is it that so many immigrants do so well? They come here and they go, excuse me now, I'm getting ready to say a dirty 4-letter word, okay? So y'all will have to forgive me. Do I have permission to say just one dirty 4-letter word, okay? And that's the only one I will not curse. This is the only one I'll use. Can I have y'all's permission? This will be it. Okay. One dirty 4-letter word to a lot of Americans, okay? Work. Wash out your filthy mouth, Parker. Thomas Edison said, all things come to those who hustle while they wait. The harder we work, the luckier we get. I know one thing. I tell this to my son over and over and over and over again, and since he could see my lips moving, I've said this to him. Lazy people always fail. I can say to him right now, what makes a person fail? He said they're lazy. I said, what happens to lazy people? He said they fail. Because I know one thing, if he will just work. I said to him recently, I said, you know something, son? So what if you don't make it to college? It's not the end of the world. If you can add and write, if you can add and subtract, read and write, you can have anything you want in America. Just absolutely anything you want in America, as long as you work and as long as you apply yourself and you're constantly growing. That's the key. That's the key. And also that you're not doing this. You are being very careful of who you listen to and who you associate with. I protect who I listen to and who I associate with. I mean, it's one of my greatest treasures. Because I tell you one thing, there's some special people in this room tonight, and I know that. But there's some people in this room that may have come in here tonight and brought a lot of their own personal baggage, their own personal problems, want to dump them on everybody else, and want to bring them along and tell everybody about how miserable life is and how bad and rotten they feel. You see, I got some good news for everybody in this room, and I know that you're going to enjoy this because every time I tell this, people that jump up out of the chairs and they clap and they get all excited. So when I do this, I want you to be very careful because when I say this, you could get a coffee knocked over you, somebody could get you with an elbow because every time I say this, people always explode out of chairs. It never fails. I did it this morning. They leaped up. I mean, it's great news. Are y'all ready to hear it? Are y'all ready to hear it? Yes. Thank you for being alive. Thank you. I might even ask you before long to raise a hand. But I won't ask you to turn to the person beside them and tell them anything nice about them. I won't ask you to close your eyes because whenever anybody asks me to close my eyes, I grab my wallet. I won't ask you to do any of those things. But here it comes, the exciting news. In life, when we've solved some problems, we've earned the right to get some more. What a weird group, Ron. This is the first time this has never happened. They didn't explode out of their chairs. Never had one person get up and cheer for that. The key to success in life, the key to growing in life is constantly solving problems. That's the key. From adversity, we draw and grow and earn strength. Failure is only failure if we fail to learn anything from it. That's it. Failure is only failure if we fail to learn anything from it. You want the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I'll just give it to you. Now, by the way, in case any of you plan on want to attend a stress seminar or anything, let me save you some money tonight, okay? I'll save you some money because I got the key. I know what causes stress. So if I know what causes it, I can give you the cure, okay? Can I offer you the cure for stress? Yes. Okay, thank you. Stress is avoiding reality. That's what it is. Like if you got a lot of bills and you want to get out of debt, quit spending money and work smarter and earn some more money. That's just like I recently lost 40 pounds. I quit eating. I didn't need to get Jenny Craig, Billy Bob Wilson's Lose It in 30 Days, the miracle cure. Take this pill and it'll disappear. I just had to simply quit eating. If you want to make sure that you don't follow the herd in America, the negative crowd, the gloomers and the doomers, if you want to make sure that you don't get stuck up with them, just make the right decision. If you don't like the way your life is going, change. See, that's just like those problems that I told you about. Let me give you an example. See, problems can really be awesome if we let it happen. A problem, if you look at it, at least you know what it is. And then you can work on solving it. But if you try to avoid it, it gets uglier and uglier and uglier and uglier, and it never goes away. An example would be, let's say that I'm leaving Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I'm heading to Los Angeles, and I go, man, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave Los Angeles. I'm going to leave that Virginia, and I'm going to get up to Los Angeles. I'm going to leave these problems I got back here for about 2 or 3 months, get my head together, and find myself. That's like a guy, I was talking to a 76-year-old guy the other night in the hotel, and he told me one time, he said his son came home, told me, he said, I got to find myself. He said, he grabbed him right by the back of his shirt, walked him right up in front of the mirror and said, look no further. There you are. So see, I get on a plane and I fly to L.A., so leave my problems back here, man, and I'll get to L.A., get about 3 months, and you see, there's only one problem. My problems get on the plane in front of me, and they fly first class. And then when I get to the luggage department, they go, hey, we're waiting for you, bro. And we got uglier and we got bigger. You see, I got something that I do. I'll see if y'all like this. I call it, I only allow myself a maximum of 30 minutes worth of personal punishment. That's all I'll allow myself. That's it. Let me give you an example. Let's say I'm in the hotel and the phone rings. I pick it up, it's my wife. She says, you wouldn't believe what just came in the mail. See, my father always told me, he said, I never like to get mail that's got those little windows on the front. You know, it's not a personal letter or anything, it's little windows, especially when it's pink, too. You know, nothing pink or yellow is good with little windows on the front, is it? She says, you wouldn't believe what we just got in the mail. I mean, I said, you sure it's got our name on it? Yeah, look at it again. I didn't know we owned all, I mean, I didn't have any idea. Yeah, it's us. And I hang up the phone, I'll take out my watch and I say, all right, go. I mean, unbelievable. I had no idea. I mean, what are we going to do? I mean, I didn't have any idea. I mean, this is all about 3 minutes to punish myself. I get sick of it. And I just get on with solving it. They just get tired of beating myself up. I see people going on around beating themselves up all the time. So I call it this. I call it robbing yourself, self-thievery. It's like people going along, they got a German Luger in their hand, they're going along, they're robbing themselves all the time. Boy, I don't feel good. Man, America's going down the tubes. What are we going to do? Boy, I tell you what, I just can't make it anymore in America. I tell you what, the dream is not alive. You can't own a home. You can't make any money. You can't do anything. But there's a lot of people that are doing it. That's a lot of people that are doing it. Self-robbery. Woo. I tell you, something else is, well, let me give you a story. It's about this guy that plays in this Pro-Am golf tournament. And he's going to play with a pro, and he's just a regular old player. Shoots about 120 like me. And he's playing in this tournament, so they get up to the first tee. And there's a big crowd around the first tee, and they're all standing there, and they want to see the pro play. They want to see him because he's won all these tournaments and won all this money, and they're there to see him, so they announce his name and all the tournaments he's won, and they all cheer him, and the pro gets up, and he tees up the ball, and he takes out his driver, and he swings it, he hits it, boy, that thing flies down the middle, and the crowd goes, ooh, ooh. That was great. Man, what a, whoa. And then all of a sudden it's the amateur's turn. The guy who really isn't even an amateur, I mean, he's just playing in a tournament. He's so nervous. And he says to himself, if I can just get this one, if I can just hit this one and get out of here, I'll be so happy. I don't care what I do after this. I just like to get one in front of this crowd. So they announce his name, you know, Billy Bob from Raleigh, North Carolina. He gets up and tees it up, and he takes his driver. And he says to himself, I want to hit this real hard like the pro did. I mean, I want to hit this real hard and drive it down the middle. So he gets up there, and he takes out that driver, and he revs back, and he swings as hard as he possibly can. And he misses the whole ball. And those of us that play golf know that's called a whiff. And the crowd starts snickering and laughing, and he's embarrassed. And when he missed the whole ball, he hit this ant hill. And he killed about 1,100 ants. They're dead everywhere. And the ball's still sitting there, so he's got to hit it again. So he gets up there, he's really nervous now, so he raises back and he swings as hard as he possibly can again. He misses the whole ball again. I mean, the crowd is roaring. He hit another anthill, killed about 1,700 ants. These ants are dead everywhere. But these two ants that made it are standing over on the sidelines. And one of them looks at the other and he said, you know something? If we're going to survive, we better get on the ball. Want to know how to make the rest of December work for you? Want to make your future bright? Don't want to get caught up with that crowd that's going nowhere in America? Get on the ball. Take control of your own life. Start making the right kind of decisions. Quit associating with a bunch of whiners. It's pitiful to see what a lot of people are doing in America today. I mean, it is pitiful. And a lot of you are shaking your heads. Yes, I mean, we're talking about some people that are top in, out. Man, they got all kind of words for it. I'm telling you what. They got some words. They got codependent, dysfunctional, victim. I mean, well, I saw one today. It was on TV, and I slipped into the hotel and took a shower to come over here, and this was one that was really cooking today. It said, there's some people being verbally abused. That's a new one. That'll be hot in the next few days. I mean, that'll be hot. That'll be going all over the country.